I think people should use worse animation in their pilots and cut down heavily the amount of length that they are, the time that they are. As a lone person who's never with anyone at all, and it's never really even paid to make something. I look at this and I don't know why, like, no one really even talks about this, but I see so many pilots that come out and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. But the issue is that they start off so great. As in, the animation quality just wows you away. That everything visually and even auditorily, be that voice acting wise, anything else like that, wows you. It's like, holy crap, this is amazing. But the issue with that is that's super expensive and it takes a long time and you don't have definite funding yet. It doesn't even sound like an intelligent idea. You're hiring a ton of animators and background artists and all these other people, and depending on where you start off at, you possibly just wasted your money. The only big one that came out in that way that I can name that definitely still has a big fan base right now is the one that started this trend, and that is Hazbin Hotel. That was a very shocking thing for the internet to see. For indie animation at the time, that was like, holy crap, this is incredible. But Hazbin Hotel succeeded due to the timing and the fact that no one was doing what it was doing. Hazbin Hotel had like a 30-minute pilot, 30-minute episode, one basically, where no one else even heard of what this was. And to see something like that online as indie animators, that was crazy at the time. But now we get stuff all the time like that. To me, it seemed like I didn't really research the creation process of that, but that seems like a very risky start. You possibly just wasted a lot of money or lost a lot of money trying to do that. And if it didn't blow up or something, which Hazbin Hotel, just with how it was written, with how the characters looked and everything, of course it was gonna blow up. I mean, man, the art style of Hazbin Hotel is iconic. The dialogue is perfect for kids. I mean, it's hilarious to kids. They think cursing is really funny, right? If you're an eighth grader, you think, ha ha ha, they curse a lot, ha ha, that's very funny, you know. And the world they introduced was so great. Like, who are these guys in hell? There's wars going on in hell. Who's this Charlie person? Wait, so the premise is that we're demons, but we want to be redeemed and go to heaven? And then they introduce other characters that are interesting to a lot of people, like Angel Dust and especially Alistair at the time. That was a very special pilot. The timing was great. The writing for what it was great. And because it was the first of its kind, that's why it got so big. And that's why the other thing that VivziePot made, Hell of a Boss's pilot, also got big, both because of Hell of a Boss was better than Hazbin Hotel's pilot, and also because Hell of a Boss was made by the same people. So Vivzie was able to use Hazbin Hotel as a springboard to have an not an AU, I mean a spin-off series of Hazbin Hotel in the Hell of a Boss. I just look online and I see a lot of people trying to take the Hazbin Hotel approach without already having some kind of establishment. And I'm not saying that either of these series are bad or something, or like they're gonna turn out like wrong or anything. This is not a criticism of what's in these pieces of media. I just want to make that 100% clear. Personally, I don't really dislike any of these pieces of media, except The Art of Murder. I like it something like Lackadaisy, and it's clear they took the Hazbin Hotel approach. The animation is just stellar. It's beautiful. It's awesome. The idea of it is cool, I guess. I mean, it's like they were like cats in the 1930s who were like, what were they doing? They were like robbing people. No, it was during Prohibition, and they were selling alcohol because that was legal at the time. And that was the idea. It got 16 million viewers, but the issue with that is that I feel like what's more important than theatrics is usually the ideas that you convey first, and then the writing, if that can back it up. Hazbin Hotel's pilot, its writing wasn't that good. I know teenage me kind of liked this. If teenage me kind of liked it, then I wouldn't like it now, because now I'm adult me, and I'm like, I don't even like this. And the show is, I don't want to criticize the show, but it's more so the idea and what it was than anything else. And I feel like it's very hard to make an idea more interesting than what Hazbin Hotel was, and in the way that they presented it. That's very hard, okay? Hazbin Hotel's pretty freaking interesting as a concept. So the whole prohibition thing, sure, the animation and everything can be great, and the writing in it can be solid, but because of the timing and because so many other pilots like this came out, this kind of just became like what we expect from indie animation now, because Hazbin Hotel's pilot stepped up the game basically for every other indie pilot afterwards. I mean, before that you had stuff like C Students and Becky Prim and Hot Diggity Demons Jerry, stuff like that. And the animation in there, it was good, but it was clearly internet level animation. Hazbin Hotel is the first piece of media that sort of toe the line of an indie product and TV level animation. And so what that did was everyone was like, this is incredible, we should start copying this, but they didn't think about the fact that maybe that's not a good approach, because you don't actually know if you're going to get the Hazbin Hotel type of audience, or if you're just going to get the people who are like, okay, the story's kind of cool, and then they just go about their day because the world building is not half as interesting as Hazbin Hotel, or the characters aren't half as notable as Hazbin Hotel. But because it's a normal thing now that this is expected, this is no longer some special thing, so people will make pilots in this level for 30 minutes with incredible animation, spend tons of money doing it, or just time. And possibly their idea is half-baked, their writing isn't that good, not the idea is half-baked, but the way that they actually use the idea is kind of like mid. Or the writing in the pilot is kind of ass, like the dialogue. But the animation is incredible. Incredible animation can only take you so far. I mean, look at South Park. I personally don't think that this show looks bad, but a lot of people think that show does look bad, but they don't care because it's super funny. But instead these people are taking, it's clear to me these people are taking the opposite route, where they're like, okay, let's just do the opposite thing and say, this animation is incredible, this is a long thing, we just made something, an impressive work of art. It doesn't really stick, because I look at something like, again, I have nothing against any of these projects, except The Art of Murder. But Lackadaisy, again, stellar animation, but where are we now a year afterwards? Where are we now a year afterwards? Not really anywhere. We've got, let's see, after the pilot, this is very unfortunate, by the way. I don't find any joy or laughter in looking at this unfortunate way of doing things. If I were to make a pilot or something, it would be like 5 minutes, and it'll be very simple animation, maybe some rough characters, and just a general gist of what the series is. Because again, a pilot is supposed to be a pitch to a media company for what you want to do. It's not all there yet. Even the name probably isn't all there. I mean, look at Steven Universe's pilot, for example. That was very rough animation. The character designs were rough, but we got the idea across. It was funny, and it was interesting enough to be picked up, and it was very short. And that's what pilots should be, because this is your first step into trying to make something. But after the first Lackadaisy episode, the pilot, 16 million views. So let's look at the shorts now. Again, incredible freaking animation with this stuff, right? But the viewership goes down a lot, because instead of using that time, they could have been trying to build up shorts and all of that and getting an audience of some kind with these shorts, because the animation is just incredible. And even without incredible animation, they could have still built up an audience and then made a longer episode and then started doing that or something like that. They instead make this giant pilot and then they make a lot of shorts, and the unfortunate outcome of that is that 3 months ago they make a short episode, 407k views. And I don't like seeing these projects fall because of how they started. Because again, I always say this, Hazbin Hotel has permanently shifted how people look at how pilots are supposed to be. Why did they do that? I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they decided a 30-minute pilot would be a good idea, but they did. And since they did, it actually worked out for them really well. We also have to think about the fact that VivziePop was able to retain her audience for these last few years because the Hazbin Hotel pilot came out 5 years ago, and right now the Hell of a Boss pilot also did. She was able to somehow create 2 pilots and then a series after the pilots, so she was able to actually retain that audience the whole time. That's not a normal thing that people can just do. It's just not. So whenever I see these shows take this sort of approach where they're like, okay, let's make like a 20-minute, 30-minute, 15-minute pilot. We have nothing before this. Nobody knows this from anything else before this. I get a little frown on my face, because even if it's good, it's like, I guess unless you immediately start a series, it's not really going to work out. Because it's a pilot, this is your first piece of the show that's really going to come out. Maybe make a trailer before this or something, I don't know, to build a little hype. Every time I see a trailer for stuff like this, they never really get any sort of traction. Since this is your first piece of the project, it's probably not going to be as good as the later ones. So I always also wonder, why release a 20-minute pilot for something that you know will probably not be as good as the later stuff? Again, sometimes it's the reverse, actually, like with Hell of a Boss, for example. I don't know why it's the reverse, but it is the reverse. But usually the show starts off kind of slow as the writers are getting more used to doing what they're doing, and then as the show goes on, it gets better. Just like Hazbin Hotel, which started getting good actually by the end. What can us as creatives learn from all these pilots that come out and then they get like some crazy buzz, right? And they just start falling off. Man, we as creatives should probably try and make a foundation. This is what I'm assuming. Again, I need to preface this. I'm not like a professional or something. You can look back at my previous stuff. Though I've gotten better, that was stuff that I made. That was about a year ago that I made. You can look back on this very channel and see that stuff. I am not a professional. Tony! Welcome, Tony. So, go on ahead and introduce yourself. Are you gonna introduce yourself? Alright, this isn't gonna work. I told you it was a bad idea. Alright, fire the necromancer.
Oh, come on, man.
Fired. Get out. Okay. But I am very critical and analytical whenever I look at sort of stuff. But what I would assume is that the best course of action to do is to make fan works, parodies of stuff like that. Because if we look back in the past, someone like Zach Hadel, that guy didn't just blow up out of nowhere like Bibsy Pop. What happened was that guy was a consistent online presence for the last 20 years on sites like Newgrounds and YouTube, of course, old days. And he would just make parody animations and stuff. Or like Ego Raptor, for example. He'd make like parody animations, and now they're both at the places that they're at, which is good places, because that was their stepping stone. So as creators, we need some kind of stepping stone that initially gets us out there. And then the best thing to probably do would be to continue using that and mix it a little bit, or make a shift of your own unique content. That's my assumption. And if you do want to make a pilot, then don't make it so well animated and don't make it so flashy. The pilot just is supposed to exist to showcase your idea for what you want to create as a creator. This is just supposed to be like, okay, this is the gist, this is what you're getting, basically. Like if this existed as more episodes, it would be like this. That's what a pilot's supposed to be. So instead of making these very elaborate, super well animated, long pilots, it's probably a better decision to just make like a 5-minute short, or just make the online series yourself and just see how that goes with this sort of background. At least that's what I look into other creators, and that's just kind of what they do. They have this kind of background, or they do something that gets them a little bigger slowly, gets them a little fan base, and then they just start making little animated shorts and TVs and little shows online. And that works. That works for them as creatives. Basically, put less effort into your pilots, but make sure the writing is still crisp. Just found this topic interesting. If you find creative topics interesting, then go ahead and subscribe. I'm just going to be making videos like this where I'm just giving my own opinion on stuff as an amateur creator who wants to keep getting better and better. Go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe to my Battle Cats channel if you want to. It's in the description, and goodbye.